In this episode of Carnage, we've turbocharged the Toxic Avenger territory, and it's awesome. A couple episodes ago, you might remember that we bought a Ford Territory for not a lot of money. We took it out to Calder Park, cut 650 kilos off the thing and got it into the 14-second zone. Then we hit it with nitrous and set it on fire. So the reason it caught fire is because the nitrous leaned out and backfired and sprayed fuel all over the engine bay. Now, we decided to put a fuel pump in it, so we took it to Max Performance because it's a fairly big job. Took it to those boys to put a fuel pump in it, and then it snowballed from there. We're down at Max Performance today, where the Zane and the boys are putting a new fuel pump in our Toxic Avenger territory. Putting a new Walbro 460 in that thing today. I'd do it myself, except I've been so flat out with everything else that, yeah, I just handed it off to them and they were happy to do it. So what are we doing, Zane?
We are pulling a fuel tank out of the race car.
The race car, I love that. So we're going to put what, a Walbro 460 in this thing?
Yep.
Awesome.
460.
And that'll support how much horsepower?
Heaps on 98, as much as you want.
Yeah. Pretty much eliminate any potential issues with backfires through lack of fuel. Can't get over how long it is. It's like 1.2 meters long at least, I reckon. Look at the, oh man, the filter is, that's terrible.
It's gone. If you look in the 12R2.
Oh, look at the, oh.
It's like rust.
Wow. Here we go.
Few lines, pump. Return light done, so you don't get too much fuel pressure at idle. Good to go.
Awesome.
Not so easy by itself.
So what's the deal there? You got to put downward pressure on it. And
yeah, it just springs down. Just
wow.
gets the bottom of the tank.
Cool. Awesome. So you reckon that's unnecessary?
Very unnecessary, mate.
Cool.
Very unnecessary. Extra weight, don't need it.
Yeah, that's our motto.
About 2 kilos in that.
Reckon only 2? Oh, yeah, that's not super heavy, but yeah, 2-3 kilos. Yeah. It all helps.
It all helps indeed.
Boys are working on the Toxic Avenger territory there. They've just put a new fuel pump in it. We've just put a set of extractors in it too, which is very handy because the old pipes were cracked. Check it out. Massive crack.
Nice red nut, stronger than just a tech screw.
And there we have it. One exhaust. That's nice and solid.
Yeah.
Man, that's sweet. Done well.
Not bad.
She blows a little bit of smoke. So you know when you plan to do something and it doesn't turn out right, so you got to change direction, well that's where we're at right now. So the boys had a bit of a play with the Territory last night and did a comp test for me, and it turns out one of the cylinders is shot. So we decided what we're going to do is we're going to replace the engine. And because we're going to replace the engine, why don't we turbocharge it as well? It's an SY territory engine, that's an SX territory. So this has got the wrong loom on it. This has got a 6-speed ZF loom on it. That's a 4-speed car, so we've got to change the loom, we've got to change a couple other things. Obviously we've got to put a turbo manifold on it. We've got to change the injectors, so there's a fair bit of work that's got to be going on with this engine today before we drop that one out. So new 1000cc injectors is the plan, E85. We're also going to split the intake to take out the butterflies. Apparently that's the thing to do. I don't know, never turboed one of these intakes before, so that'll be interesting. So this is what they call a broadband manifold. So it's a 2-stage manifold. So they are basically at low RPM, it has one path, and then at high RPM it closes these butterflies and then activates another path. So you get basically a low speed and a high speed side. This is a turbo one, so basically there's no butterflies in this. So same design manifold, but just no butterflies.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So for boost, just give it everything it's got, open the whole way.
Cool. Fuel rail. Pulling the loom out of the cart yesterday at the Wreckers was a pain. Get the other one. Obviously we're going to take the sump off as well, I forgot to mention that earlier. We're going to take the sump off so we can put a oil drain back in there. Probably don't film this bit. We're going to pinch this turbo off the Mazda for about a week, and we're going to put it on our territory, which is over at max performance at the moment. So this is an external gate turbo. We're putting an external gate manifold on the territory right now. We're going to use actually one of the 45mm gates that we took off this and replaced with these massive 60s. So reusing parts, that's what it's all about. I chose this one because it's the easiest to get off the car. You can see the 4 bolts there, 17mm bolts. Just got to undo waterline, oil line, waterline, drain back fitting. All of it's pretty easy to get off on this car, so that's going to make my life so much easier. The other side, because the way the scroll sits, is actually so much harder than this side. Oh, you mother! Where'd that go? She is. We're back at max performance. Just been up in the air all day. So there's our new motor. So I've had to pull the sump off the new motor. I got the boys to do a drain back. So there's our turbo drain back. And we'll adapt that to our turbo, which is sitting there. There we go, you're on. The sump's on, we've got the turbo drain back in there so we can get the turbo on there and all that happening. So we've just got to finish bolting up the exhaust manifold, position our wastegate properly, get the turbo on there, get the injectors on there. The fuel rail on the top half of the manifold. So there's a bit to do, but I reckon we'll get the engine in there. We'll definitely get the engine in there tomorrow, and I reckon we'll get it pretty close to going. So, well, that's the plan. We should try to get it going tomorrow, I think. at least in some fashion. Zane's over there going, really? Tomorrow? It'll happen. Valve springs from XR6 Turbo Developments. Because when you put boost into these things, as we found out with the Taxi, they start to go a bit funny. The Taxi, when we first ran it with the turbo, no valve springs, you do a burnout and it would get very soft and fluffy. Didn't want to idle right. So we put valve springs in, fixed it straight away. So you're going to go turbo, go valve springs. Bouncing out. Valve springs, I got better at it as we went along. I was banging through it by the end of it. I was actually almost disappointed to get to the end of them. So I left here about 7 o'clock last night after doing the valve springs, but while I've been away, obviously overnight, having a nice snooze, the magical fairies have been at work. That's our old engine over there. That's our new engine in the car. I guess I owe someone a cut and a piss at least, because, yeah, engine's in, converter's in. They've put it in for me. Like, am I disappointed? Not really. So the boys have given us a big step up. So last night the magical fairies were at work again, so we've all left the workshop at 5:30, but the boys have rocked up again at 8 o'clock at night and pieced together this kit out of bits and pieces they had laying around the shop. These are all old parts off customers' cars. They got this crazy little blow-off valve and they didn't have the right size pipe, so they cut off a pipe off this water neck on the old engine. Got a part of an old exhaust system from another customer's car. This thing is awesome. It pops flames. We're going to get it on the dyno soon and see what it runs, but before that I'm going to send it to All Race, get a bit more of a cage in there, so more cage, then boost and horsepower. So we're back at All Race this morning. So Ryan, what's the hardest part of making a cage in a car like this?
In a car like this with no roof, probably making up the lines and where they go. There's nothing really to go off, so everyone can see every little thing. So you've got to like level it all out, make sure it's all symmetrical. It's a lot easier to weld the top, obviously, because you don't have to drop the cage through.
That's right.
So yeah, that was one of the pluses of doing it.
And what about cutting out this intrusion bar?
So since Scotty changed his mind, and we had to cut out that intrusion. Like, you don't weld one of these up to cut it out really, so, but all done now, so.
Looks good, man. It's come up real good.
Cheers. Yeah, no, I put in the late night for Scotty, so you should be thankful.
That's it. So now it's all finished. We're going to get this thing down to the dyno. So this is the moment of truth. We've just strapped the Toxic Avenger territory down to the dyno at AXT Turbo. So 4-wheel drive dyno. We're going to see what this thing makes on E85. Obviously Zane's got to do some tickling up with the tune through HP tuners with a little laptop. See if we can make some power with this thing. So Turbo Taxi last night made 351 rear wheel kilowatt. Can this make more? That is the question. Let's wind it up. So Zane, what's your initial thoughts?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
280, 16 pound with no timing.
And only at 4,500 RPM.
Yeah, still got to take it out. It'll probably peak at like 53. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you might go higher than that. There you go.
It'll rev higher than that, but power will sort of peak.
Yeah, okay.
Fall back.
Still 284 kilowatts and we've only just begun.
Yeah, pretty good.
How much boost do you reckon this thing will take? What would be your, where would you like to see it?
18.
18. And you haven't put much timing in it either.
8 degrees.
Yeah. So not a lot of timing. We'll potentially turn it up at the track. Is that more boost than we want? So should I? So a little bit down.
What'd you go last time? Go half of what you did.
About there. We'll see what that does.
Happy.
So happy with the boost at that? 786?
I'm happy with it. I might almost go in a tiny bit. And maybe give it.
So there we are, habit and real figures, manpower, 444 at all four wheels. That's not bad. It's Saturday today. We're at the Ford Forum Nationals at Heathcote Park. We had this thing on the dyno yesterday. It made 331 rear wheel kilowatts. That's 440 horsepower at the tyres. That's not too bad at all four tyres. We've got a bit of a problem with our water pump. It's leaking really badly, and it leaked really badly on the dyno. We actually had to put a bucket under the water pump to catch all the fluid that was coming out. So we're going to fix the water pump with this Rizlone's block seal, it's called. So we're going to put that in the water pump or in the water system, and then we've got some power steering fluid as well, a stop leak for that, because the power steering's got a bit of a drip to it too. This is Carnage. That was. Yeah. All right. I thought that was down actually. Yeah. All right. I'll go fix that up. Yeah. So we just went over to scrutineering and they pointed out that we didn't actually have a working battery hold down clamp. So I'm just using half a bag of cable ties to hold our battery in at the moment. It's been a bit damp this morning, unfortunately, and we've been waiting for the track to dry. We've been waiting hours, and well, now the track's dry. It looks like we're going to get a lap very shortly. And we can see what this thing does, because, man, with the power it's got versus the weight it is, it could go tens.
Mark? Power steer. I gotta move over there, hang on. Yeah, power steer's leaking. I know what it is, I'll just snip it up, it'll be right.
Scotty, you should know better than that. Yeah, the clampers haven't got on.
Alright, I'll see if I can find one off someone's car. Yeah. Alright, we'll fix it.
Mate.
So we got a slight power steering leak still, unfortunately. We'll fix it up, I know what's happening. And they also want us to put a better battery clamp on there, so anyway, we'll get it sorted. So apparently it ran 12.5, but I was hoping for a little bit better than that, to be honest, but it did break down on the shifts. So I'm going to basically have to hand shift it because it gets up in the RPM range that it's not quite happy with. So I've got to hand shift it and just give it more RPM off the line so we can get a really good launch. Well, wasn't that all bad. Loaded it up on the converter too hard and just buzzed the tyres, got off it, tried it again, buzzed the tyres and just, yeah, not good. But it did run higher mile an hour because I short shifted it when I was actually shifting it. So it went higher mile an hour in the top end. So the potential's there. I just got to get it off the line properly. So this time I'm going to just jump on the gas and see what it does. See if we can flare that converter up, get it up on boost as soon as we can, and see what it just runs out the back door. If I can get in the 11s, that'll make me happy right now, but ultimately I still want to get it faster and there's more in it. So Zane's going to tickle it up a little bit more, so yeah, we'll see how she goes.
I heard he's a good tickler.
He is a good tickler. The problem really was after the burnout. I buzzed the tyres really hard and it spun the rears a lot more than the fronts, and the computer freaked out and basically it went in a limp mode. I shut it off and then turned it off and turned it on again at the power point, and that fixed everything. So it ran 12.8, 112 mile an hour, which it felt a lot quicker than that. But I'm going to stall it up harder this time. We'll see how she goes. So that's it for Toxic Avenger today. The light's going away, we've got no headlights. So where are we at? We ran 12.1, we ran 114 mile an hour. Not really representative of where this car should be with the power it's got and the weight of it. Part of the problem is that every time we try and lean on the torque converter to its max capacity, we just bag the tyres. Smoking tyres is not how you run quick quarters. So, it's been a massive week. I've got to really thank the boys at Max Performance for putting it all out there, helping us get this thing to the track this week. Where we go from here, don't know, but it's going to be exciting. See you next time.